that turns heads. Using high-quality digital printing and embroidery to give you that unique style you love with no minimums or cookie-cutter designs. From small business to sports teams, if you've got a vision, they'll help you wear it proudly. Visit red7tees.com.
Do you want to eat like a local? The Local 115 is now open. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115. 115 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Cold, creamy, and gourmet. Milkshake Factory is now open at Breakfast Point Marketplace near Publix next to First Watch. Unbelievably delicious handcrafted milkshakes and chocolates like the famous chocolate bark. Try the mouth-watering chocolate dipped strawberry shake. Family-friendly fun and unforgettable shakes await. Milkshake Factory now open at Breakfast Point Marketplace near Publix next to First Watch on Back Beach. Milkshake Factory.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, we're taking the inside drive with Ryan Mulvey.
I love it.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good morning. You are listening to 104.3 ESPN Radio Northwest Florida, the Inside Drive. Ryan is not here. I'll be stepping in for him today on your official station for the Atlanta Braves baseball. Don't forget, tonight at 8 o'clock, first pitch, 9:15, they'll be playing the San Francisco Giants. We're going to be talking about that here in just a moment. Me and my friend David Hayes, big-time Braves fan, we're going to be discussing a little bit about them and what's going on with the Bravos. But also don't want to let you forget today, starting today, the Best of Bay is open for voting. And if you could, go in there and make sure you vote for the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Just a great show, great guy, and still want to offer up prayers and all of the good thoughts and everything that you can put forward for Ryan and his family while they're going through this tough time. And we are so thankful that he trusted us with his show today. So we want to do that for him and do good at it. So want to start today off with something that's really cool. Today is National Donut Day. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not till you told me about it just a little bit ago.
Yeah, so in the early 2000s, I was a police officer in good old Mobile, Alabama. And so my love for donuts grew and grew. Actually worked an extra job right there on Government Street.
It's funny how you just said that, though. My love for donuts grew and grew.
It did. I worked an extra job at the actual Krispy Kreme donut right there on Government Street because for whatever reason, the place would always get held up. And so they would hire off-duty police officers to come in and sit. And basically back then, you just sat and just showed police presence and, just eat a donut whenever you wanted. That was the number one thing about it.
Yeah.
You got paid, but you also could just eat unlimited donuts.
You got paid two ways, baby.
Two ways.
I've always been curious as to why someone would want to hit a donut shop. Like, that's going to be one of the quickest responses of all time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but the place where it was at, there was a lot of different ways in and out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and plus it was in the downtown area, so at that time you were able to get to the interstates just right there off of Government Street.
Yeah.
So it was an easy hit, but with the police sitting there with the car parked out front, it's a little bit less likely you're going to come in there and try. But I will tell you this, that picking that hot donut off of the belt with the little straw thing that they do, it just melts in your mouth. So on National Donut Day, there's Krispy Kremes everywhere. There's Dunkin' Donuts everywhere. Go around and get you one of those donuts. I think there's free donuts today. So not all free, but I believe you might get one, which, if you are like me, you can't just eat one. So, but I don't know.
What's your most that you've ever had in a sitting? I guess with the way that you were doing it, you weren't just sitting down eating a whole bunch at one time. It was just,
throughout the night.
Yeah, throughout the night.
Yeah.
What an hour.
I mean, well, I had to do more than one an hour. I mean, I've always had a good metabolism, so my donut eating has been probably very unhealthy, but it hasn't showed up until after I hit my 40s. But just really when you think about sitting down and eating those hot donuts, you can eat 3 and not even realize that you have already eaten one. So, I think maybe 6 is probably how many I've eaten at one setting.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. They go down better when they're hot, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's easier to eat 3 or 4 and be like, wait, how many have I eaten to this point? So outside of the regular glazed, which I think is one of the best, like the status quo for donuts, but what's your favorite flavor outside of that? Or do you just stick with the glaze? Like nothing else matters?
I like the glaze. They don't really do it a lot. It's seasonable. I like the maple. I really like the maple. They've got a new strawberry glaze that's pretty good. I had those last weekend. So you put a donut in front of me, I'm not going to turn it down probably. I'm not big on the jelly inside or the cream fields. I
like the raspberry. Really any kind of jelly that you got inside of there. But what's it, the Boston cream?
The Boston cream.
With some chocolate on top? That's probably my favorite donut.
Well,
or those blueberry kind of cakey ones.
Yeah.
I love those too.
Well, that'll put us to our next deal. If you have a favorite donut, you can call or text at 850-215-6290. You can text us and tell us what your favorite donut is. But I want to tell the reasoning behind it, where it originated from. This is kind of cool. It originated during World War I. The Salvation Army was helping on the front lines by providing meals to the troops in need. And so they aimed to provide the soldiers with comforting food, is what they called it. Found that donuts to be a great snack during the challenging times. So donuts, comforting food. I didn't realize that it was used for that, but that's
you found out firsthand how comforting that was during your shifts.
Yeah, it definitely made the shift go by quicker. But yeah, so happy National Donut Day to everyone out there listening. Whether you're listening on the radio, whether you're tuned in on Facebook or any of the other platforms that you can find us on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to dive into a little bit of baseball. I'm going to go through some of the scores from last night. The nightcap was Kansas City and St. Louis. Kansas City pulling off the 7-5 victory Bobby Witt, man, just a menace when it comes to playing baseball on the infield. He looked fantastic over there at short. He made a play. I don't know if it was actually last night or if it was yesterday, but he made a play that was just fantastic. He dove out. It had to be one of those plays that's probably going to get plays of the week or something, definitely play of the day. But they ended up winning. Our boy Kaggs struggled last night. I know he went 1 for 4 in the daytime with his first hit, a double down the right field line, and had an RBI. So that's pretty good for him to start out. The only thing about it, when you're coming from that AAA going into the major leagues, it's a different deal. Even though he was crushing the ball in the AAA, if you look at it, like say last year, Jackson Holiday, same kind of deal. Oh yeah, kind of struggled at the beginning or whatever. So I feel like he's going to do it. Have you seen him? He's a monster.
Quads, you talk about Spencer Strider. I mean, the quads on Jack Caglione are absolutely insane. But yeah, and another thing that I've kind of noticed is that when there's a lot more hype around a prospect, I think that the getting going is a little bit slower, and for the guys who have a little bit less pressure on them, that's where you see the first at bat home run and stuff. So just give him a little bit of time. It could end up being the spark that the Royals need to kind of work their way up in the AL Central.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be moving forward. I believe he's going to provide that stick from the left side that's going to provide that power too. I just believe it. He's a monster. He sees the ball well. Obviously, he's had some, he's going to get their best at this moment because he's, like you said, so, all this stuff coming around, with him coming in and all that. So he's definitely grabbing some of that. Let's move it on over to the Cleveland Guardians. Got blanked last night by the Yankees 4-0. Fried is 8-1. He gave up one hit, and it was a infield hit. So really was lights out last night. Another one of those. Another one of those guys.
Sub-2 ERA to this point too. One of the best pickoff moves in the bigs. I mean, it's great for Max Fried and great for the Yankees too. As much as I hate to say that. Yeah,
Judge went 1 for 1, getting the Barry Bonds-esque walking going on right now early on in the season. Had 2 walks last night. Bellinger 2 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs. So Bellinger's kind of trying to revitalize his career up there with New York. Let's move on to the Cubs and the Washington Nationals 7-1. How about PCA hitting number 16 last night? 2 RBIs. And this was a 7th straight series that the Cubs have won. So definitely killing it. 39-23 on the year, the Cubs are. Just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, they could have done me a favor, them or the Nationals, by just scoring 2 more runs to get over the 9.5 threshold. But outside of that, though, the Cubs playing great ball, and PCA is really... We weren't expecting this out of him, and then what you're getting out of Kyle Tucker and out of Coda. I mean, they're in a good position, and they're fun to watch. They give up a little bit more runs sometimes than what you would like them to, or what you would like to see if you're a Cubs fan. But outside of that, if you're not a Cubs fan and you're watching Cubs baseball, it's kind of like watching the Pacers and OKC NBA Finals. It's just a lot of offense.
A lot of offense. Moving on with the Dodgers and the Mets. Dodgers got them 6-5. But the thing to me is that the records right now, the Mets are 39-24 and the Dodgers are 38-25. I mean, it's just, going good. Alonso hit another one last night. He's at 15 for the year. Another person that, to me, I thought he was going to fall off a little bit, but definitely has not. I mean, he is hitting the baseball. He's seeing it well. Another thing about the Dodgers was Max Muncy.
Back and mashing.
He is back hitting again, and you notice he's wearing the glasses. And they said that since he's wearing the glasses, he's hitting way better. So maybe there was an eyesight going on there that he fixed, and looks like it's working out pretty well for him.
Something that you definitely need in the sport of baseball is some good hand-eye coordination, and if your eyes are off a little bit, that's definitely going to affect that. But he is back. He is mashing, and Impressive series for the Mets, though, here. If you look at their record on the road, they're 15-17, and they were pretty dominant within this series as well because they had a huge lead in that game as well and kind of squandered it. Nothing like the Atlanta Braves, don't get it twisted over here, but my goodness gracious. Yeah, let's talk about all the teams in baseball that's doing good. We stay away from the Braves.
All right, so we're going to the San Francisco Giants. They beat the San Diego Padres 3-2 last night. Machado, I think he hit a home run last night and joined some very good company. I think he's at number 350, I believe he hit. So, but anyway, I'll check the numbers on that later. Moving on, the Orioles beat the Seattle Mariners 4-3. The big guy for the Mariners.
The big dumper?
The big dumper hit him another one. Number 24 for Cal Raleigh last night. They're another one of those teams that, 32-24 on the season, hitting the baseball and being led by him. That's pretty good. They're having some good baseball playing up there in Seattle. Minnesota loses to the Athletics 14-3. My guy, Jacob Wilson, 3 for 5 with a home run, number 8 on the year, rookie, batting .363, playing shortstop for the Athletics. Not a big market team, I understand that. They're not winning a bunch of ball games, but Jacob Wilson, no relation again, just playing lights out over there for the unknown team Athletics.
Yeah, we ended up doing our all-star picks yesterday in the 12:20 segment with James and Coach Brian Haddad, and I ended up having 4 A's on my starting American League roster there, one of those being Jacob Wilson at shortstop, and it's the average that just jumps off the page at you.
Yeah, so just if he was in a different market, he would be, everybody would be talking about him. Batting .363 still, as long as we've played, as many games as we've played already.
Everybody would know how wild his batting stance is at this point. They would be talking about it.
Oh, yeah. Yep. He's just, he's something else, though. A former player from the Grand Canyon University. I never not want to mention that. I love mentioning it. So, but anyway, moving on. Chicago White Sox, 3-2 over Detroit Tigers. Won it in a walk-off fashion in the 10th. Tim Elko.
Ole Miss boy. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yep. Walked it off last night, so that got them going a little bit.
How many of that series did the White Sox win?
I think they won 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3?
Yep, I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. The Blue Jays went on to beat the Phillies 9-1. Bo Bichette hit number 8 last night. He's been talked about being as a trade piece. Yeah, everybody's talking about him. So it'd be curious to see where he goes, if he goes, and what they do over there with them just signing Vladdy to the big contract. I don't think they're trying to rebuild at this point. But, you never know with GMs and all, maybe moving on and getting some help in different areas.
Yeah, you never know what they're going to do. They've been a Jekyll and Hyde team. We've talked about that here with you hosting the show, but they're 4 games over 500, tied with the Rays for second in the American League East. If I'm the Blue Jays, I'm not blowing anything up right now, and I'm making Bo Bichette's the next guy I'm working on a contract for.
Yeah, he's the guy that I would definitely be pushing for. 4-3, the Rays took down the Rangers last night. One of the things I wanted to talk about, when I was in Kentucky, we watched Florida play Kentucky in some good old SEC baseball a few years back, and I got to witness Wyatt Langford there, and that guy is a tremendous athlete. And I don't know if you've seen him recently or not. His speed is just unremarkable, but his motor of wanting to play the game and play it the right way, he's a star. Obviously, Texas is not doing that great this year. They're doing okay, but I just love that kid, Wyatt Langford. A lot of the Florida Gator fans in the area really talk highly of him, and then obviously Cags. But Wyatt Langford, if you ever wanted to watch a player play it the right way, that's your guy. I know that he's versatile, too, in the outfield. He can play center and he can play left. But, he had an infield ball hit this week, and he was just booking it. He bats from the right side of the plate, so he doesn't have that extra step for the lefties. And he was just booking it down the sideline, down the base path. And he actually jumped in the air as the first baseman.
Yeah.
And it was just remarkable. I mean, just athleticism. He hit the center of the bag still and was safe. I mean, just one of those guys that just like pops out at you when you're watching him. Just like, who's that guy? And, so being able to see him at Florida was fantastic. He hit a home run that day.
Yeah.
Although I was cheering for the Wildcats, and I think the Wildcats eventually beat them. But that was the year that the Wildcats were actually really good. But anyway, moving on. Let's get to your place of business here. 11-10, Arizona beats the Braves. I mean, I've got down here on my notes, let David give the rundown. I mean, okay, so let me just lay it out there for you.
Yeah.
Baldwin, star.
Yeah.
Acuna, star. Superstar.
With all of his injuries that he's had, but still look at him playing right now. I mean, he's an all-star.
All-star.
Yeah.
Superstar.
Yeah.
Riley, great player. Star.
Yeah.
Matt Olson, star.
100%. Ozzie Albies, right there on that
cusp. Yeah. Harris, a good fielder.
Great defensive player, has the bat at times.
At times. Little
Makes
inconsistent.
You scratch your head.
Yeah, a little inconsistent. Pitching.
Chris Sale, Spencer Strider, A.J. Smith-Shawver, and Spencer Schwellenbach were playing great. Spencer Schwellenbach still giving you good starts. A.J. Smith-Shawver going to be out for the year now. Hoping that Bryce Elder steps up, but we've had some really great quality starts out of these guys.
Yep, great starting pitching. I would even say great starting pitching just because of what their ability has been and what they've shown at times of being great. Is it time for Snitker to move on?
This one is so tough for me because he's been consistent as his time as the manager of the Atlanta Braves. He's been consistent. I don't know if he's lost the clubhouse, if the clubhouse just doesn't have a leader that's going to stand up and say, hey, guys, I mean, really, it just feels like every facet of the game is off every game. We'll have 2 of 3. We'll have great starting pitching and great offense as what we did yesterday. Then the bullpen comes and gives it all away. Or we'll have a great start and the bullpen will hold on, but the offense can't score you 3 runs.
Yeah.
Or the offense will be great. The starting pitching, just leaves you such a big hole that you can't climb out of it. So I don't know, man. It seems to be bigger than what Snitker. It seems to be bigger than just your manager. And if they're not going to fire him after what happened yesterday, we're holding on to him for the rest of the season. I don't think that the problem is necessarily just Brian Snitker. I think it's the fact that, honestly, from a fan perspective, I think that because we give them so much credit on paper, we're so surprised that this is the product that we're, getting, and it's an inconsistent product, and we've kind of been consistent over the past, even with all the injuries that we dealt with last year.
Yeah.
So, all I'm going to say is I'm still somehow holding on to this little thread, and on that thread is hope.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. But as far as how do you fix something like this, it's less catastrophic than what I'm making it sound like. But we're nearing that territory of where the panic meter is at a 10, as far as, especially with the hype that was surrounding this team in a very tough division.
It's tough.
You got to give the Mets and the Phillies credit, no doubt. But dadgum, giving up the leads, multiple that we gave up yesterday to be up 6-0, then it's 6-3, then it's 7-4, then it's 10-4, and I'm sitting here working on the show yesterday, not even thinking about, it's like the Braves won. And then I look up and the score is 11-10. As soon as the game go-ahead run is scoring, I'm looking up at the TV like, golly, this is absolutely insane. So I don't know. It's breaking my heart right now. It's breaking my little heart. But I've got the Pacers to kind of mend it together now. We're doing just fine.
That's right. We'll talk about that, too, a little bit later. One thing I want to say right before we go to the break is that the Colorado Rockies, they actually have won 3 games since June the 2nd, and they did a little thing on their website or their X where they told that Scotty Scheffler has won 0, so they're up 3-0 on Scotty Scheff right now going into June.
Well,
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, now Scotty Scheffler's going to go on a run, and so by the end of the baseball season, he's going to have more tournament wins than the Rockies.
Then the Rockies will. Well, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we've got a NFL former player here stepping into the dugout with us, and we're going to have a lot of fun with him talking football and all things Florida State.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Tonight, the Atlanta Braves are at Oracle Park to face the San Francisco Giants.
2-0 pitch all the way to Harris, and he blasts one high in the air, deep right field, and buried into the seats.
We're staying up past our bedtime for the Atlanta Braves on the West Coast. Coverage coming up at 8, first pitch, 9:15. Listen in ultra high fidelity on your spot for the A.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Friday. Very light showers and mostly sunshine this afternoon and evening with a gentle breeze around 11 miles per hour coming out of the southwest, and look for the high to be 87. Tonight, it will be partly cloudy skies with the temperature reaching 78. A variety of mostly sunshine and a possibility of thunderstorms tomorrow with a high of 85. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Father's Day is coming soon, and you want your special dad to be recognized as the world's greatest, right? A gift from That Boot Store will be just the thing to show you really care. Select from a huge selection of name brand Western wear in sizes to fit any dad, young and old, and at a price you can afford. For that hardworking dad, Carhartt work clothes will be the perfect gift. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 5, Friday and Saturday, 9 to 5:30. Next to Bill Bird Kia on 15th Street, Panama City. That Boot Store, where God is good all the time.
Are you hungry for authentic Mexican cuisine? Then come to El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, where we serve up the freshest, most flavorful dishes on the beach. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, a great location, comfortable atmosphere, and happy hour from 3 to 7. Buy one, get one free, regular margaritas and 12-ounce house drafts. And you're going to love their lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 to 3. Plus live music Wednesdays and Saturdays starting at 5:30. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, Thomas Drive across from the Navy base. And 10908 Front Beach Road.
Now is the time for Brave Country to cheer a little louder as the 2025 Atlanta Braves start chopping their way back.
Swung on, driven to left center field and deep. That baby's out of here. Austin Riley.
Tonight, the Braves head west for the weekend as Sean Murphy and company roll into Oracle Park to take on the San Francisco Giants.
Braves heading to the West Coast to take on the Giants. Pre-game 8 o'clock, first pitch 9:15. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive. Spreads, picks, and parlays. Get the breaking news, insider angles, and expertise so you can run your game.
I told y'all to run that.
And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey, ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget to call or text 850-215-6290. We have a special guest in the show for us today, Mr. Javian Elliott. He is a local kid. I say kid because I am 48 years old, and I know that I'm older than you, sir. But it's so good to have you here, Javian, man. Just been listening to a lot of people talking about you and a lot of stuff about your story. And, man, you're just inspiration, and so glad to have you today.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for having me, man. Even though it's decked out in SEC gear in here, I'm glad to be here.
And we do have a Florida State thing. It's just the lanyard, the string that holds it up kind of fell apart, but I'll get it up here while we've got you here.
I see how it is. It's all good.
Yeah, it kind of fell apart like the year that after they lost. We probably won't go there.
I've seen that coming.
We'll get you one going here in just a minute. So you got a camp coming up. Mm-hmm. It's going to be here locally. Where's it going to be at?
We're going to have a camp at Tommy Oliver Stadium tomorrow, June what's tomorrow's date? The 9th?
The 7th.
The 7th, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, June 7th at 8 a.m. is registration, and then we're going to start working out at 9.
All right. And you said if you want to show up and you haven't registered, you can still show up. There's still some room to show up and get some work and really work out. What are y'all going to be doing?
Man, right now we're going to compete. That's the number one thing. We're going to focus on the fundamentals, but we're going to run some 40-yard dashes. We're going to run some 5-10 5s. We're going to see who some of the fastest kids are in Bay County, get them together, race, and we're going to do some one-on-ones, make it a competitive environment, and we're going to have fun.
What about the kids that, are you're in the trenches kind of kids? Can they show up? Will you have some stuff for them to do as well?
Yeah, we will have O-line, D-line. We will have all positions are welcome. Even if it's like girls flag football, they're welcome. Like it's not anything contact. We're just out there having fun and competing and working on our fundamentals, building skills.
What do you think about that? You brought that up, which I hadn't even thought about it, but you do realize that there is going to be high school girls flag football starting in Bay County.
I didn't know that. I knew they had the NFL Flag Football League here for the youth, and I partnered with them. So I knew that was a thing, but I didn't realize that high school flag football.
They are getting it started. So I believe it's coming up this year. They're going to have their first inaugural season. So they're going to actually have girls flag football starting. So that's going to be great. So, because you're a trainer as well, right?
Correct. And I'm willing to work. I'm open to working with all athletes. Boys, girls in the football space, especially like this is an avenue that can prepare them going into the Olympics. You never know. Like you might get a scholarship. Flag football, like who knows? Like it's, there's definitely some benefits to that.
Yeah. Well, do you think you could help a 48-year-old man get faster?
What are your goals?
Just not to pass out.
Not to pass out.
4.240.
I don't know if I've ever ran anything. I think one time in high school, they had timed us. I think I might have hit like a 4.7 somewhere around that area, which is I believe is faster than Peyton and is faster than Eli. So
and they were championship. They
were Super Bowl champs. That's right. So you started out at Rutherford, and what star were you coming out of high school?
I had 0 stars. And didn't have any scholarships coming out of high school.
So no offers or anything like that?
No offers. It was just one of those things where back then it wasn't like the social media era how it is now. So like I would see the rivals' top recruits, and then you would see players like James Wilder on the ESPN magazines and things like that. And then even locally, I seen some of the athletes that were getting scholarship offers, and I just didn't know like how I could get mine. I just didn't really have like the guidance in this area, in that space, and it was just something that I just always thought that maybe I'm not working hard enough. Maybe I don't know, but I think it worked out the way it was supposed to work out because had I gotten scholarships, had I had all the stars, who knows, like my story wouldn't be as great as it is.
Yeah. And then so you went on and you walked on for Jimbo Fisher at Florida State, and you played with him. And then so the first 2 years you were on the scout team, or were you just the walk-on team? Basically you're setting the starters up for the game that week, right?
Yeah.
That's how it worked?
Yeah, so just going back to when I graduated high school, I didn't play football for 3 years after high school. So when I walked on to Florida State, that my eligibility was already going. It was already, once you're enrolled in college, your eligibility is live.
Starts.
So I missed 3 football seasons, and I only had 2 seasons left by the time I walked on to Florida State. And the first year I got there, yes, I was technically like just a scout team player, just trying to make my way on the team. Nobody knew who I was. No coach knew my name. Like, usually when you go to when you go to college to play football, like you've met a lot of players at camps or recruiting visits. Like it wasn't like that. It was like, I'm in this place where I don't know anybody and no one knows me. And I'm having to go in every day and just trying to get people to know who I am, not from a personal way, but hey, I'm on scout team. I need to show that I can play just as good as some of the best players on this team.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that you had sat out and then came back. Wow. Because, they say that if you don't go straight out of high school into college, it's just so much harder to get back into it or to get back into, that whole mindset of hitting the books and, preparing your body for the tremendous practices that you're going to be having. And so you went out there and handled your business. Well, that's awesome. And then so outside of that, once you finished at Florida State, they ended up giving you a scholarship. And then draft day comes. And so walk us through that real quick. Do they call you? Do they give you a call and say, hey, we're interested in you? Do you do any kind of interviews as far as like when you're not one of the players that, that has been marketed real high, like you're talking, where you didn't have the stars coming in? Pretty much kind of the same way. They're kind of already all looking at the ones that have the stars or whatever. But let's don't make mention, Cam Ward was a 0-star coming out of high school too, which is David's team. I don't know if you knew that, but he's a big Titan. Yeah, he's a big Titan fan. So that's that don't always play out the way the stars, whoever's giving the stars, he ain't always right.
Not at all.
Yeah,
we got living proof right here in the studio.
We got it right here in the studio. And so you're getting prepared for the draft, and obviously, like, did you feel like you wasn't going to get drafted? Did you kind of think that was the route you were going to take as the undrafted free agent market?
Man, it was a dream of mine to get drafted. I wanted out because, playing at Florida State, this is Florida State when they just won a national championship, like you mentioned, under Jimbo era. All the DBs pretty much got drafted. Jalen Ramsey, Derwin James, Marquez White. I mean, the list goes on. P.J. Williams, Ronald Darby, Jameis. Like, literally at Florida State that year, there was a picture floating around that all 22 starters played in the NFL. So, I knew what my vision was. I just didn't know if I would get drafted. Right. Even though I wanted to so bad, it was just like, it's just a kid's dream to get his name called and see it going across the screen. But I still got my opportunity, so.
Yeah, which like, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's probably 0.00000% chance of anybody playing in the NFL. And so you get an opportunity. The Buccaneers call and say they're bringing in 5 guys to make one spot, or 4 guys for one spot. And you go, and no plane tickets out of Panama City is available. So you go get in the car and you take off. You're one shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that whole thing leading up to that, it was at least maybe 6 weeks where I didn't know if I would play again, because the draft, like, usually once the draft happens, teams have like their rookie minicamp the week after, or at least 2 weeks after. And I had my rookie minicamp with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I did well, but I didn't make it. I didn't sign a contract. I tried out, didn't work out. I came back home to Panama City, and I'm waiting around like I'm for like 4 to 5 weeks, not knowing if I'll ever play football again, and get that phone call for that workout. And they, it was, for me, like I mentioned earlier, it was just 5 guys. And it was like, may the best man win.
Yeah.
And they told me that initially that I did some good things, but they wanted to choose another player from a smaller school, maybe didn't have like the Florida State name beside it, like as far as pedigree, but he played more years than me in college football. I only played 6 games in college football. So they were like, yeah, he has more college experience, so we're just going to choose him. And then he ended up failing his physical, and that's how I ended up getting my opportunity with the Buccaneers, and ended up playing there for 3 seasons.
Wow, and that's what's phenomenal about the story. And the other day I was riding home, and David had you called in, and you were talking about that. And, it just proves that determination and betting on yourself. You know what I mean? That you bet on yourself and you won. You know what I mean? Like, again, 0 point whatever number to be able to make it to the NFL, 0-star, walk on, non-drafted, and here you are saying, I'm going to make a turnaround on the interstate. I'm going to head back to Tampa, and I'm going to sign a contract with them not knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
That's when work starts.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what I mean? That's when work starts, because obviously you probably are on the scout team right off the bat, right? Was that what you were doing?
Well, so during OTAs, it's kind of just all competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you're pretty much trying to earn, you're just trying to earn your role on the team. And during training camp, that's when you're really like trying to make the team. And then during the season is when you're preparing against other teams. And that's when scout teams come in during the NFL. So I signed during the OTA season, or the OTA part of the year. And it was just like, I'm already 6 weeks behind everybody who knows the playbook. And I'm having to learn the playbook late. And really, I'm not getting many reps in practice. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, I wasn't really on scout team, because it's like 11 on 11, 7 on 7, just competition. And I would only get like 2 reps in practice.
Oh, wow.
But within that 2 reps, I would make a play. Mm-hmm. And then the coaches are like, wait a minute, who is that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get him some more reps. So now I get 3 plays, and then 3 plays turn into 6 plays. And then next thing you know, it's like, hey, you know, we want to see how you look in the slot. Can you play nickel? Like, yeah, that's what I played at Florida State. So, and then that's just how it happened. It's like taking advantage of those opportunities, even though you may not get the reps you want. It's just about taking advantage of the ones you do get.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Again, we're talking here with Javion Elliott, former FSU player, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers NFL player. You know, when you look at it all the way through, you had to bet on yourself. Mm-hmm. But when you're young, it always happens the same way as when you get older, because there's always somebody that, you know, sometimes gets picked first. Oh, yeah. There's sometimes that, you know, you don't get selected at the beginning, or maybe you're a late bloomer, or, you know, those type of things happen and people, you know, count you out. So this might be a little difficult to answer, but if you had, you know, kids that were just sitting here listening on the radio right now, they're out of school, they might be, hopefully they are. What would you say to that kid that has ability, maybe is a little small at the time, hasn't grown into fully his body yet, mentally nor physically, doesn't always get picked first, doesn't always get the, you know, the nod, maybe he's last to get picked, or whatever. What would you say to him as far as working to get to that pinnacle? You know, maybe it's not, you know, NFL, maybe it's not Division I football for a powerhouse team. Maybe it's just making the middle school team. Maybe it's just making the high school team, you know, is his goal in life or at that time. What would you say to him just listening to you right now?
Well, you have to sometimes practice, like with a team, it may not be enough, right? You want to show up every day and work as much as you can, but you have to put in extra work. Like, you're going to have to focus on the fundamentals. You're going to have to outwork the people around you. Because at the end of the day, that was my story. I wasn't picked first, not growing up in Little League and all that stuff, but in terms of like getting to college, getting to the NFL, I wasn't picked first. But what I did was I showed up and worked every day. And that's what it's going to come down to. And it's going to prepare you. It's going to prepare you for life. It's bigger than football, right? Mm-hmm. Like with me, I don't expect anything to be handed to me. So when you have this mindset of, I'm not getting picked first, what's wrong with me? Like, there's nothing wrong with having those doubtful thoughts, but it just approach it as a challenge. Approach it as a challenge to get better. Approach it as a challenge to step your game up, and in the football space, but also in whatever role that you're taking in life. Because with me, I'm done playing football, but I, as an entrepreneur, stumble across obstacles, and it's like, okay, well, see it as a challenge. Yeah. What can you do to get better? You know, so it's about football, but it's also about life, and that's what I want to teach these young kids, that the principles and the lessons that you can learn through football will help you throughout life.
Yeah, and see, to me, that's what it is, you know, because obviously it's so hard to make it to that professional level, but the lives that you're building while you're playing a game, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, whatever you're playing, and learning how to, like you said, overcome the obstacles in life and in challenge so that you can make good decisions when you get older, because the game does eventually go away. Yep. You're not always going to be, you might be known for that, or that might be something that you're known for, but that game's not going to be there at all times. So that's some really good insight on that coming from you, especially someone that's been through it. You know, and with that being, that's some of the stuff you're doing. You're training those kids. You want those kids to come out and work. So that's the kind of specialized training that you're talking about. You know, with someone that's wanting to maybe embark and play football, or even maybe just speed or, you know, agility, what kind of stuff do you offer? Do you offer just a specific package, or do you kind of, you know, formulate that package for the kid when they come in to talk to you and see what their goals are?
I mean, right now, just baseline, I have a package right now, 10 sessions for $150, 15 a session. But if you want less package, like say you want 5, then I'll work with you on that. If you want one-on-one training, I can work with you on one-on-one training. So I'm flexible, but as far, it just depends on what your goals are and what you're looking for, and I will help you with, your speed. Meaning, like, it's one thing to tell someone to just run a 40 and run fast as you can, but it's another thing to tell you, okay, here's how you do it, and here's why you take these certain steps. Here's why you have to, have this toe flexed in this way, or here's why you have to be more explosive, or you know, it's telling the science. So it's not just me, you know, telling you what to do. It's the reason,
showing you how to do it,
showing you how to do it, and developing that, because everyone needs speed in athletics, right? So I'm not just training football players. Like, if you want to get faster, that's one of the things that I can help with in that area. And then as far as football go, if you want to learn how to be a better football player, I'll definitely
can tell them a little bit about that. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You're listening to The Inside Drive, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to be talking a lot of FSU. We're going to be talking to see whether or not Mike Norvell is going to keep his job this year when we get back. You're listening to The Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Is that what happened to you?
It scared us to death. They're sneaky, they're fast, you can't get away from them, they're incredible. Anyway, what's that? Do that sound one more time.
Like this.
Yeah. Weekday morning 7 to 9, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Do you want to eat like a local? The Local 115 is now open. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115. 115 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Tired of boring merch and want your brand to stand out like the big names? Elevate your look with Red 7 Tees. They don't just print shirts, they create bold identities. They are a veteran-owned custom apparel shop providing the kind of detail that turns heads, using high-quality digital printing and embroidery to give you that unique style you love with no minimums or cookie-cutter designs. From small business to sports teams, if you've got a vision, they'll help you wear it proudly. Visit red7tees.com.
Hewitt Tire and Auto. Call 850-769-7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
We're gonna have a talk.
Tell me what you know.
It's a frantic noise.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive at 104.3 ESPN, Northwest Florida. Don't forget, if you have any questions that you want to talk to us about, if you want to make a comment, you can call us at 850-215-6290. We are still in studio with NFL Javian Elliott. So good to still have you with us, man. And great to get to know you and just to know your story and just the inspiration. Now we're going to get to the hard stuff. We're going to get to the nuts and bolts of one of the reasons why I wanted you to come in is we want to talk about this Florida State football. This is something that is very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts here in this side of the country. And we did put the plaque up behind you for the Knowles, so you do have that back there. So you're covered now. You're in the SEC room, but right there in the back, we're
on the outside looking in.
Outside looking in, kind of like what happened not too long ago. So So either way, so I guess maybe the first question is, have you went down and experienced the new style and Mike Norvell and all of the people that are down there? I'm sure you're in contact with some of the people, administration and all that down there. So have you talked to Mike Norvell or around the program?
I haven't talked to him about the program. I met him earlier last year at the spring game, actually, or the spring showcase. I met him last year, and I know quite a few guys that's on the staff.
Oh, okay, good. What do you think about the whole showcase, changing it? You know, some of the college teams went from changing it to the showcase. Now we don't want to show too much, don't want to have injuries, and, let's don't play a spring game. How do you feel about that?
Man, I think it's taken away something for the players to look forward to, at least from being able to play in front of a crowd, play on TV for the first time, because everybody's not going to play during the season, But I'm seeing it from the coach's perspective, from the business side, where it's like, well, we don't want to showcase our players so other teams can come get them in the transfer portal. So, I mean, in my opinion, I just think that to keep college football the way that it should be, I just think they should lock kids in for a season. That way you know who you have, and you don't have to worry about somebody coming to take your players. But now you have three, summer, spring, and fall.
Yeah.
There's three opportunities for coaches to poach your players. So,
Well, Kirby said the other day that there's a big shot of where you're having to pay your high school kids to stay committed to you, some $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
Just to keep them committed to you. And then he said, obviously, that if they leave, they're supposed to pay them back. But I'm thinking those guys are going to say, sue me, take me to court, whatever. You know what I mean? I think that's going to open a whole new ball game of litigation. What do you think about the NIL? Because our resident NIL professional, David Hayes, he knows all about the NIL.
No, I do not. No, I don't think anyone knows anything about it.
Even the NCAA don't really know much about. I mean, they don't have it confined, right?
Yeah.
It's so loose right now. They have to tighten some things up. I'm all for players getting paid. I just think there has to be some structure to it. That way, even the scenario that you just mentioned, I do know, even guys in the transfer portal, they're getting paid for commitments or whatever, and then if they don't keep up their word, they have to pay it back. But I mean, honestly, if you're going to another school, that school might just pay that for you. So
they might get their money back.
Yeah, so it's man, I just think they should keep it confined. They should have standards for it.
Well, my last question for Mike Norvell: how many games do you think, if he starts off losing? Obviously, they've got my Alabama Crimson Tide first game of the season. You probably didn't know that. I'm a big Alabama fan, so now you know.
Okay.
Obviously, that's going to be a tough one right off the bat. Mm-hmm. If that game's close, I think that bids him well. I do believe Alabama will win that game, but if I'm staying back from you, I'm not allowing you to get your hands on me or anything right now. But how do you feel like? How many games does he have that, if he were to lose, a couple of games early, 2, 3, and it starts looking a little bit like it did last year, do you think that they could pull the plug and go ahead and put Malzahn right in at being the head coach?
I think I'm not sure what they would actually do, but I do believe that he's in a position where he has to show up. He have to provide. I mean, they have to win some games.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not what I want. I don't hope for anyone to lose their job.
Right.
But that's a tough situation to be in. You're starting off with Alabama, so what it's going to come down to is quarterback play.
Yeah.
Right. So defense, we got a new D coordinator in the building. We got some new pieces, Gus Malzahn. So, I mean, I think these guys can pull it off with what they have now. But if they go on a losing streak after last season, you just never know. You just never know what can happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to think too. They do have a kid coming in from Boston College that had success last year, and so he knows how to play winning football, and that's the biggest thing. I don't think DJ Uiagalelei was one of those guys that knew how to play winning football. I believe he was surrounded by a culture of winning, and I believe he just kind of, he tried to manage the game until he couldn't, if that makes sense. And so with that, I believe that this guy's a little different. He has started the online jabber a little bit, which that doesn't bid very well for against Alabama, as we've seen in the times past. So it's going to be a curious day to see what happens. I think that game's at 3:30 down there at Doak Campbell Stadium. So that'll be cool to watch. Let's move over to the NFL real quick. So you played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and somebody this year was an undrafted free agent that signed, which is Mr. Shiloh Sanders. I've heard nothing but good stuff about him as far as the knowledge of the game, him being able to almost a plug and play as far as understanding the concept of his position. Have you heard anything about him? Have you heard any rumblings about the Sanders kid, the other Sanders kid?
About Shiloh, I haven't. Just the things that's been floating around on social media. I hope he does great. I hope he goes in there. It's a good situation and a great defense. He's just going to be able to. He's going to have to be able to cover, but he's going to have to. He's going to have to earn his stripes because he's an undrafted free agent, so it doesn't matter how big your name is. He's just going to have to go in there and earn his spot on the team, and whether it's special teams, whenever his opportunities come, I think he'll be fine. It's just a matter of, will he be able to execute the plan?
Yeah, I mean, Todd Bowles is such a great head coach, but he's to me, that defensive mind, I mean, they always got the defense on point over there. So, I mean, for them to really be saying the things that they're saying about him, that means, to me, that would mean something over there. Are you a Baker guy?
I like Baker. Crazy story, when I was a walk-on, it's this trophy called the Burlsworth Trophy for like the best walk-on, and I was part of the nominations for that. But Baker took it away. But he's a good dude, man. I met him. I'm a fan. He's revitalized his career.
Yeah.
And down there in Tampa, winning some games, and I wish nothing but the best for him.
Yeah, he's got some good targets now. They added that kid out of Ohio State in the draft, so they're going to be. There's some firepower down there. Is he 6 foot tall?
I think so. He was a little bit taller than me.
Okay, and are you 5'11"?
Yeah.
Okay. So Baker Mayfield is really 6 foot tall. Okay.
Someone had it.
No, I just always wondered because they shuffle around a little bit. I mean, I remember when they were saying Tua was 6'1" and Kyler Murray was 5'11".
Right.
And
right.
I don't trust anybody. So if you met him, if you've been standing beside him, so he's a little bit taller than you.
Yeah, he's a little bit taller than me.
Okay, so that makes me feel better. Because he does look small on TV, but. That's good. All right, so let's move on. You played 1 year for the Panthers?
I did.
Okay, so are you a bigger Bucs fan than you are Panthers, or do you have another NFL team that you like?
I mean, my heart is drawn closer to the Bucs just because I was there for 3 years. But I mean, I love Carolina as well. Carolina, I love the city. Like when I played, it wasn't really a great year, but I'm grateful for the opportunity. But Charlotte is an amazing city.
Yeah, I've been to Charlotte before. It's nice up there. So let me ask you this question. So I'm a big Alabama fan. Bryce Young, is he the guy?
I think after what happened last year, because they benched him early in the year, and then he came back and then he played pretty decent. So now they're starting to give him some weapons. They're going to have to get him O-line for sure. They're going to have to protect him. But I think he did show some signs. They also have a new coach, right?
Yeah.
So, I think I wouldn't wipe him away. I wouldn't get rid of him.
Yeah.
I would still let him get a year or two because, he's been just back there running around crazy trying to just,
And he's one of those guys, like, I don't know if he's 6 foot tall either.
I don't think so.
I don't believe he is.
I
And
don't think so.
I don't even know if they're saying he's 205, 215, something like that. I don't think he's that big either.
I don't think so.
Big Bryce Young fan, just from the Alabama days and just a great kid. For them, I think that the sky's the limit if they can get him protected. I think that if they can, because everything now is revolving around that quarterback position. I mean, you can have a great running back. I know, this year Saquon Barkley had a tremendous year, one of the greatest years in history. But if you look at the games, they still had to have good quarterback play.
Yep.
And you got to always have good weapons. Smith and AJ out there, catching the football. So one thing that I failed to mention, you played the slot corner, and you picked off Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, and Lamar Jackson.
Correct.
How does that feel?
It feels great. It feels great. All Heisman winners. Yeah. Two number 1 overall picks. So both ended up being teammates with both of them. So it felt great. But the reason, the stories behind the interceptions are so much better than the interceptions themselves. Like for example, with when I was playing with Tampa, my first career interception with the Bucs, we were playing against Carolina, and this was after Hurricane Michael, and I had we had a My Cause My Cleats, where you can wear cleats that you can paint images on them for a representation of your choice. And I represented Panama City and Hurricane Michael and my uncle that passed away as well. And the game that I wore those cleats is the game that I got an interception against the Carolina Panthers. And then next year, I ended up signing with the Carolina Panthers. So it was just like,
all that happened.
Yeah, so it just makes it that much better.
Well, that is awesome. Well, Javion, I appreciate you being here today, and we're so thankful that you came in and was hanging out with us. When we leave, I'm going to go out in the parking lot, and I'm going to throw the ball, and I want you to pick it off so that I can be in that conversation of all those three guys. So now you can say Paul Wilson threw an interception to you, too. But Javion Elliott, we're so glad you're here. When we come back, we're going to dive into the NBA and some women's college softball. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. A chance of thunderstorms and mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze coming out of the southwest at 11 miles per hour and temps near 87. Tonight we will have partly cloudy skies and be warm at 78. A possibility of thunderstorms in the morning and afternoon followed by mostly sunshine tomorrow and a high 85. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, it's Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right, she has over 20 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within a week, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into a new setting and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 50 years.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose, hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? If competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business, come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, the best place in town to take a leak.
PLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lumen. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Now is the time for Braves country to cheer a little louder as the 2025 Atlanta Braves start chopping their way back.
Swung on, driven to left center field and deep. That baby's out of here. Austin Riley.
Tonight, the Braves head west for the weekend as Sean Murphy and company roll into Oracle Park to take on the San Francisco Giants.
Braves heading to the West Coast to take on the Giants. Pre-game 8 o'clock, first pitch 9:15. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive.
Skyrockets in flight.
And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Your official spot for Atlanta Braves baseball. The Braves play tonight at 8 p.m. and they are playing the good old Giants out in California. We didn't get to really finish necessarily talking about the Braves as much, but I just wanted to say that with the Braves, you have to think that with the star power that they do have, that offense, if they do get starting to click, that there's a possibility that they could make a run before the All-Star break, and then that carry them over into and really make a big splash to make a push for the playoffs or the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, they have all the talent in the world. They have everything that you need, and I think that's what has the fans so disgruntled. But again, for me, let's get to the All-Star break with just being 5 games under 500.
Yeah.
The year that we won in 2021, we were 1 game under 500 at the All-Star break. So not all hope is lost, but the worst part about it is when you're losing to the teams you should be beating.
Yeah.
And yes, the Diamondbacks do play in the NL West, but we've been playing a lot better at the house this year than what we have on the road.
Yeah.
So you've got to take advantage of those. I mean, that's back-to-back series now, losing at Truist Park. So that's another thing that adds agitation, but that doesn't mean that, I'm writing them off. Yesterday was just very, very frustrating because the day before we're talking with Banji Bombadil and he's like, why don't you just say it? Just say the Braves suck. They don't suck it. And then the next day, what do? 10-4? Come on.
Well, you got to look, too. I was looking online earlier, and it said that Tom Glavine said that if you were looking for rock bottom, this might be it.
Yeah.
And, I think that's where everybody's at. They want to know. I think tonight's going to be a real good indication. What kind of body language will you see out of the Stars? What kind of body language will you see out of the management? What are they going to look like? Are they going to look like a team that is desperate and are in desperation mode and saying, hey, let's turn this thing around, let's get it? Or are they going to be pouting and go out there and throw, a bad game against San Francisco starting out? Because if you do that, that could start the winding down of actually, starting to make the building crumble, so to speak. But, either way, I just wanted to mention that just because I thought that, we really have to put it in perspective when you do have a lineup that they do have, because they got some star power, they got some firepower, and, all it's going to take is for that lineup to really start cracking the baseball. Also, if you want to call in or give your opinion, 850-215-6290. We're going to dive into now a little bit of NBA basketball, and I can tell you this. I was a little bit late getting home last night. We had baseball practice, and we went out to eat afterwards, and so I turned it on once we got home. And I started looking on social media, and people were talking about how boring this game was. People were talking about how that, I'm talking earlier in the game whenever OKC was up big.
Right.
And it just seemed like, well, I think, the bettors got it right this time. It looks like OKC is just going to cruise to this. SGA is standing at the free throw line multiple times, doing his thing. Kind of felt like the OKC style of play was just happening. And then all of a sudden, it just seemed like the tide switched and Indianapolis just came to play. You being a big Indy fan, take us through what you feel like with that game and how important that game was.
Right on time. I mean, it was exactly what we've been watching the entirety of the playoffs for the Pacers, where you get down 15. What I liked about it from the Pacers fan perspective was that you never felt out of the game, because they would get up to a 13-point stretch, and the next thing you know, it's a 4-point lead. And I love to see the fight from the guys, but you're going into the game, hearing everything about how good OKC is, how good that defense is, and you're seeing it. I mean, the defense was just on top of everything. How many turnovers in the first quarter alone? I want to say 8 or 9 right there, ending up with 24 total turnovers. I mean, OKC was exactly what they were supposed to be last night.
Right.
But the Pacers were exactly what they've been this entire series, where, yes, you've had game winners from Tyrese Halliburton, but one that stands out to me the most is the one where he hit the 3 against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they got the 4-point play. That was a huge win for them, and they've just been that same team throughout the series. Tyrese Halliburton, was he flashy? Did he score a ton of points? No, 14, but that was enough for them to, and the final 2 were enough to be the dagger. The lone lead of the Pacers last night was enough to be the dagger. So, hey, this series is not done. If anything, you've just fueled the fire now for OKC. We've seen OKC beat the tar out of teams, but we've also seen them lose by 49 points. And how did they respond to that? Was by coming back and playing name brand OKC basketball, and they're going to do that in this series. Buckle up, Pacers fans, OKC fans. This is going to end up being a very wild ride, but the Pacers did go into Paycom Stadium last night and steal a game. I mean, that is the definition of stealing a game, and as my buddy Terry would say, we crapped on their couch last night.
Yeah, well, I just wonder, I haven't looked at the numbers. I don't know what it changed to, as far as, because going into last night, it was looking like everybody had picked OKC. Mm-hmm. Everybody was on that wagon. So I just, watching the series before, and that's exactly the way I feel, what you just described, is that Indiana just played Indiana basketball. And so that behooves me to ask the next question. Do you think that their style of basketball is going to be able to be played like that the whole time? Obviously you don't want to win by one shot. You want to have a little bit more of a lead. But do you feel like that they have that recipe? Do you feel like, as a fan, put your fan hat aside for a second and put your eyes on the game of what you've watched? Do you feel like they have what it takes to actually upset the OKC, upset them in everybody's, are they taking on that underdog role? And do you think that style of basketball is going to pull them all the way through?
I would say that the style of basketball is just a heart attack waiting to happen. But but the issue is, it's not like it's lucky. Right. It's because they put their nose down and they just continue to go. Oh, we're down by 20. Doesn't matter. We're going to continue to play the same brand of basketball that we've been playing. All right, we're not hitting our threes, but we're open. So we're going to continue to shoot these threes. I mean, the 3 guys that I gave people as X factors was going to be a complement of 3 players in Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, and Benedict Mathurin. And it was Obi Toppin last night who was the 6th man. So that's another thing, is you just don't know who's going to be. I mean, the starters for the Pacers all finish in double digit points each and every night, which just goes to show you how well they are at sharing the ball and sharing the love and sharing the spotlight. But there's also those 3 guys I mentioned. Then Obi Toppin comes out and plays great basketball last night. So if I'm looking at this as, does it seem like this can continue to happen? No, but it does.
Yeah.
That's where have we ever seen such a clutch performance out of one player through the entirety of the playoffs? I mean, this is something that normally you see within a career of someone, and Tyrese Halliburton has done all of this in one singular playoff run. So it doesn't feel sustainable. But this is something, really, this series isn't this isn't the NBA that we're watching right here. This is it is the NBA, obviously, but this isn't the NBA that we've kind of come to know. This is this mixture of a lot of three balls, but still really good basketball, defense heavy on the Thunder side, and then just great team basketball by the Pacers. You really have two likable teams. I think the Pacers are a very likable team, but I also feel like the Thunder are as well. You don't really have any villains in this series.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I agree with you. The one thing that stood out to me, and I watched it a couple of times last night after the game was over, and I noticed that they were still doing old school blocking out.
Yeah.
Because if they wouldn't have got that rebound right there at the end, that would have been it. When SGA missed the shot, if you look, you'll see that no other OKC player was in the paint at that moment. They were blocking out.
But there was 3 or 4 Pacers.
There was 3 or 4 Pacers, and I'm not sure exactly who grabbed the rebound, but I know he passed it to Obi, and then Obi eventually gave it to Halliburton. But I just know that exactly what you just said, because that's been the big thing about the NBA. The younger people, your generation, the generation before you, you guys were raised in more of the shooters first type mentality, whereas my generation, the older generation, and even the generations above me, they've turned the TV off to stop watching it because it's not a team game anymore. It's more of a backyard Rucker Park style basketball. And it is refreshing to see that a non-super team is playing in the finals. It is good to see that you still see good defense.
Yeah.
Even with the style of play that the NBA has pushed to, where it is let's score, so they can keep their fans coming, because everybody does want to see. It's like baseball. People want to see home runs. People want to see threes. People want to see people get dunked on. They want to shoot from half court. All of that stuff. That's why Steph Curry is just a phenomenon in this generation of basketball. And so when you look at it, when you see these two teams play, it is an older school style play like what you're talking about. And it's great for everybody to watch. I know that they're probably, to be honest, I think is going to grab more fans in the older generation that's like, oh, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because this final, you see people, they pass the ball to the wing and you see an actual guy go out and close out and play defense. You know what I mean? You're saying your best player scored 14 points last night.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that unselfishness of basketball being, not a me. And unfortunately, LeBron's generation or Kobe's generation, I'm not going to say Michael's generation because that's my generation. But,
that's kind of where it started.
It started, But he had to learn as well to play team basketball and hit the guy that was open.
Right. And same way with LeBron James. I mean, that's, once he got with the Heat and was able to rely more on other players, that's when his trajectory went from, just being a great player to being not only a great player, but a great team player and a champion on top of it. Yeah. And
that's
then was able to take those talents from South Beach back up to the middle of Ohio to help Cleveland accomplish the ultimate goal. But yes, from my generation, playing high school ball versus what product we were watching were two different things. NBA ball was still heavily defensive when I was young.
Yeah.
But then as Steph Curry started becoming popular, really after I graduated 2010, 2011, that's when the 3 ball just started kind of going crazy. And then also the super team era was starting to be built. But you also go back to like and one and everything. So you had this mixture. I think for my generation, it was when we were playing on the playground and when we were playing in the gymnasium were two different styles of basketball, but they would find a way to merge together.
They did.
Until we got to a point where I don't even care about driving or looking like hot sauce out there. Let's just shoot the ball, from deep. And every time, hey, if we're making it from beyond the perimeter, we're scoring 1 extra point than what we would if we're driving and leaving it up to chance.
Yeah, well, and just understanding that when I was playing high school basketball and then when I played college basketball, you were not given a long leash. You had a short leash. So even if you were a good shooter, and I feel like I was a good shooter at times, you hit good one or two. I remember a story. I hit 2 or 3 shots, and then I come down and I was feeling it, and I shot the next one, and it rimmed out. I mean, it was close. It rimmed out, and the ball went out of bounds, and I heard the and one of my teammates come over and said, "I got you, Paul." Yeah. And as I'm walking by my coach, he says, "You thought you were hot, didn't you, Wilson?" And I mean, the leash was short. Yeah. It just was. And nowadays, you could miss really. I've seen it in college. I've seen it in high school. I've seen it in pro. They'll miss really bad, like really bad. Mm-hmm. And they just stay in there and they shoot until they get hot. Yeah. And, you know what I mean?
That's the name of the game these days.
But this finals doesn't have that feel. Yeah. And I think it's refreshing. I think it's good. I believe that, I don't know. I think that last night Indiana allowed people to see that you might pick OKC, but they still got to play our game. Yeah. They still got to play defense. They still got to do the things. And what lead now? Because that has to be something that goes on through OKC's now. Right. What lead now is safe? What lead now is sufficient, because you go into that fourth quarter, and with what they did with the Knicks coming back from that deficit they did, this group here seems just to be as though that they have that no quit and that they play together. And I think that unselfish playing together, playing defense, no quit, knowing your role. I think that's a big thing that they do as well that's really good, is that they know their role and they're able to be successful.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head right there, and that's fun to watch. It is, the unselfishness of it is fun to watch, but you really have both of these teams like this. And when it comes to a lead that's safe is 20 minutes or 20 points with 0 seconds left on the clock. I mean, that's just kind of what it boils down to. And that's the thing, is the Pacers will sit there and camouflage you or be like a chameleon, and they will play your game for 2.5 quarters, 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, all of a sudden it's hope you didn't use all your energy because we're about to run. And so it doesn't matter if they got their largest lead of the game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, honestly, Paul, I'm sitting there thinking like, all right, this is what everyone was talking about. This is OKC. This is how good they are, is they'll even leave it open and make it look like you have some space or you can drive to the bucket. Then all of a sudden you've got 3 Thunder on top of you. Yeah. But you're expending all of that energy, and so is Indiana, but they can go longer than you. And when you're running out of gas, it's like the pit crew for the Indiana Pacers is better than you if we're talking NASCAR, and they get that car running the best that it can in the late laps. Whereas the Thunder and every other team that we've played so far in the playoffs is gasping for gasoline in their vehicle.
And don't think for a moment that Rick Carlisle hasn't told those guys that. He hasn't put that in their brain. And that's the other thing. That's the other part of the equation, that you have to have a coach that, number one, that the guys buy into. Yep. And that in this era that we live, with just now last week or the beginning of this week, seeing Thibodeau being fired and understanding that this team was the best team that they've seen in a long time, but they're firing their coach already. Obviously, they're looking other ways, but it just lets you know maybe the team at the New York Knicks wasn't buying all the way in. And so what more can you say about a team that's in the finals, that can come back, that refuse to lose, and have that confidence in their coach into putting the right things? What was baffling, I know we're about to go to break, but what was baffling to me is that Halliburton, after he hits the shot, the timeout's called, he goes to the bench. Yeah. And they bring in the defensive team, basically. And he's over there screaming, hollering, giving them, all the support of a star player. And it's just like, wow, that kind of touched me inside of saying, it really isn't about him. He really wants this team to win ball games.
And what better state? OKC wants this. They're hungry for it. They're great fans over there. There's no doubt about that. But when it comes to the sport of basketball in the state of Indiana, the love there is just a love that I don't think many people understand. I was born in Indiana, but only lived there for 9 months. I can't explain it to you the way that someone grew up and lived in Indiana, the love that they have for the sport of basketball. And I think Tyrese Halliburton understands that. And so not only are they playing for those guys in the locker room, but they're playing for every individual who is living in Indiana or claims the state of Indiana.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. I'm curious to see what this second game is going to be like. I'm sure everybody will be tuned into that. Well, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Women's College World Series, some baseball as well, and some NFL, Aaron Rodgers. And then Aaron Bearden of Instant Replay Sports Cards will be with us at the 12:25 segment. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Tonight, the Atlanta Braves are at Oracle Park to face the San Francisco Giants.
Go pitch all the way to Harris, and he blasts one high in the air, deep right field, and buried into the seats.
We're staying up past our bedtime for the Atlanta Braves on the West Coast. Coverage coming up at 8, first pitch, 9:15. Listen in ultra high fidelity on your spot for the A.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. A chance of thunderstorms and mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze coming out of the southwest at 11 miles per hour and temps near 87. Tonight we will have partly cloudy skies and be warm at 78. A possibility of thunderstorms in the morning and afternoon followed by mostly sunshine tomorrow and a high 85. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. Now taking your collection to the next level. It's the Instant Replay Sports Cards Box Break with Aaron Bearden on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we're back here on the Inside Drive at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget to call or text 850-215-6290. We are now going on the phone line with our friend Aaron Bearden from Instant Replay Sports Cards. Aaron, so good to have you this afternoon here on Friday.
Hey, it's great to be had on Friday. How you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. I'm so glad that you are here. This is the first time that I had the opportunity to talk to you, and I've been on some shows when I was being a guest, and I do have some questions for you. I'm excited about it because I have some old stuff that I want to pick your brain about. If you would let me ask you some questions about those things.
Awesome. Yeah, let's roll into it. Might educate some listeners, too.
All right. So back in the 80s, as I don't want to give my age here, but, growing up, being a baseball card fanatic, we all had, a lot of the Topps and even some of the Donruss and all of those things. And I remember a name by the name of Greg Jeffries that everybody thought, oh man, if you get Greg Jeffries rated rookie card, you were gonna be able to retire at 30 years old because he was going to be this superstar. Obviously, it didn't pan out. But the question that I have is that I've got some older cards, 80s, 90s. early 2000s, baseball mainly, that are still in the old school sleeves that hasn't been graded or anything like that. And I had heard before that they had overproduced that year or those years and that they're not as worth as much.
Yes, yeah, that's the big problem with these stuff from the 80s and 90s, particularly in baseball, 80s and 90s. Football and basketball, definitely the 90s. Just made too much of it. I think, I talked about it before probably on here. Just the business of cards changed. When Topps was the only name in the game, the idea from a business standpoint was to not overprint the cards so they didn't get stuck with them at the end of the year. Once, Donruss and Fleer and Score and Sportflix and Upper Deck and all these other companies get involved, then the idea becomes print so many cards that yours are never sold out when the kid goes to the store to buy a pack, because we don't want him having to buy a pack of something else and realizing he likes that brand. So they started printing basically around the clock. And you can still get a lot of those boxes and those packs from the 80s and 90s for just about what you're paying for them back then. Wow. I don't know. Some of them, they may never run out. I don't know. But, yeah, that's why they don't keep much value. You went from printing, maybe a couple 100,000 of each card in a year to printing, 5 million or more of each card.
Oh, wow. Yeah, see, that's what I was worried about because I do have, a whole binder full of cards that are in the garage that are still sitting there. I don't know what I really do have. I do have a lot of my favorite player, which at that time was Ricky Henderson. So he was one of those guys that always collected his cards. But what about the, I guess it was 89 or 91, I can't remember, the Upper Deck, the King Griffey Jr. rookie year. I do have that set. 89, yes. So I have that set. Is that card still a card that is, does it bring good money, or is it?
It is. Yeah, it is still kind of the premier card of that era when we're talking baseball cards. And, to give an example, some of the other guys you mentioned or the people will remember from that era, rookies who were great Hall of Fame players. So we're talking Craig Biggio, Randy Johnson, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz. A lot of those kind of players, their rookie cards are $1, $2 maybe. That Griffey Upper Deck card, I think the last time I saw it in Beckett about a month ago, it's still about $100. You can probably get a deal on one online for, $75 or so. So compared to those cards, yeah, it is still a top of the line A-level kind of card.
I got you.
Compared to, some of the stuff they're making now, some of this artificial scarcity, and, you're hearing about these cards sell for $100,000 or more. Yeah, maybe it doesn't hold up to that. But for an era when they were overprinting everything, into oblivion, yeah, that card still commands some respect. And it's a great card for people to have in their collection just because it's so important to this hobby. That card really kind of kicked off the big explosion of baseball card collecting, 1989 and 90.
Yeah, and I remember that when people were going out and when they saw it or when they found it, they would buy, as many as they could, which, that's still, like you said, I didn't realize it was that still good of a card. That's pretty awesome to know that I do still have that one. The 86 year Barry Bonds rookie, the Topps with the wood grain. What about that card?
87.
87,
yeah, 87 Topps. Yeah, 87, you're still getting into some of that overprinting. Maybe not as bad as it was a couple years later. But you can still get 87 Topps. In fact, if anybody's interested for nostalgia purposes, we still have 87 Topps packs here. It's something we pretty much keep in stock all the time. Just because 87 was such a loaded year for rookies. Not every one of these guys panned out, but if you were collecting back then, particularly through the 90s, there was always one of those 87 rookies having a great year. And, when I say loaded with rookies, for people who aren't familiar with 87 in baseball, you had Barry Bonds, Bo Jackson, Greg Maddux, Barry Larkin, Will Clark, Mark McGwire's rated rookie was an 87 Donruss. Just star player after star player. And like I say, some of those guys were big back then. Maybe people don't know them now, like Kevin Mitchell. But they were guys who did have really good careers and were, at the time, they were the prospects people were putting back. And younger collectors, they may look on it and go, well, that guy's not worth anything now. Maybe, but that could also be what people are saying in 20 or 30 years about some of the players they're putting back now.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to have that Hall of Fame career. Things get in the way. You mentioned Greg Jeffries. I believe Greg Jeffries got sidelined in his career with getting hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
That caused him a bunch of injuries, and he never quite recovered. Greg Jeffries had a couple of great years. He had a year he hit like 340 or something like that.
Yeah.
He never turned into the real big power hitter. And in card collecting, with baseball cards, it's all about the home runs.
Yeah, that's right. And then there's one other card, and then I do have another question for you. But I think it's 80. I don't remember the year. I'm sorry, I'm old, so just give me that. The Fleer Scottie Pippen rookie card.
That should be 87, 88.
Okay, yeah, Fleer, I think it's 87. Yes. Is that one? I've got that card. That I do. It didn't get graded, but I do have it in one of the harder cases that you hold.
Yeah. So basketball, it's hard for younger people maybe to realize there was a time when basketball was not on the level as far as like cultural popularity with baseball and football. And so basketball cards did not sell as well. Therefore, they did not print as many. So basketball didn't really take off with cards until about 1990. By that point, obviously Michael Jordan was in the middle of being the greatest player anybody had ever seen. But also, Pippen and Ewing and Barkley and David Robinson just came along. And, all these guys, they started overprinting the basketball cards the same way they did the baseball cards.
Mm-hmm.
But basketball up through at least, say, 88, those are still rare cards. So, yeah, Scottie Pippen's rookie is going to be worth a lot more than comparable baseball legends who came along that same year. Like I said, Biggio, Robbie Alomar, Tom Glavine, those guys were 1988 rookies. They're worth $1 or so a piece. That Scottie Pippen card, that's going to be worth a lot more than those guys.
Yeah.
I just wanted to look up real quick as long as you're talking about it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I know back in the day we used to have the Beckett books that you just go buy, and those were cool. Are those things worth any money? Like the old school Beckett?
No, not really. I think you have to have the ones from like the first year or so they came out when they were still sort of an independent publication, and the print run was very, very small. So yes, to circle back to the Pippen card, it's still going to set you back $25 or $30 just to get one online. It's not even graded, and in high grades they're going to go for quite a bit more. So $25 or $30, obviously you're not going to retire off of it. But as I said, compare that to some of those baseball legends whose rookies are $1.
Yeah, that's crazy just to think about that. And then my final question, because I know David's got some for you. The one question that I had is a different genre but the same area. What about the old school starting lineups that are still in the package? I've got some of those. I've got like Wade Boggs and Nolan Ryan. I think I still got a Michael Jordan, David Robinson, all of those from like in the 80s, 90s. I've got a Pete Rose, some of those kind of guys, Jose Canseco.
So I'll tell you a neat story. If you don't know how starting lineups came about, it's a pretty cool, like one of those, one in a million things that happened. There was, and I'm gonna botch the name, so I'm sure you can find this other. There was an NFL kicker who was selling his home, and I don't know if he's getting traded or whatever, but his house was on the market. Gentleman who was going to buy his home had met with him and sort of done a walkthrough or whatever, and he was an executive with Kenner that made the toys, the action figures, old Star Wars figures and all that. And so they were discussing selling the home. They went to a Toys R Us, and they were walking down the aisles looking at some of the G.I. Joes and that sort of thing. And the football player, he said, why don't they have figures like that for athletes? Boom, there went starting lineups right there. So the exec from Kenner, he goes, that's a great idea. Let me go back to the office and see what we can do. They set about signing licenses with all the players in the leagues. And, in a year or two, starting lineups were on the shelf. Now, the thing about starting lineups, as far as value, the first couple of years especially, starting lineups, they didn't know if they would sell. They were produced and sold regionally. So if you were, say, in Seattle, you could get access to Mariners players that somebody down in Florida wouldn't see, but we might get some Braves players that those guys wouldn't have a chance to get. But big stars, Nolan Ryan, Ricky Henderson, Pete Rose, those kind of guys nationwide. So, in a lot of times, the starting lineups that are worth a bunch of money now were some of those obscure players that were only sold in small markets in certain parts of the country. Because every kid could go to the store and get, like I said, Mark McGwire or somebody like that. There was a big major star. But they couldn't all go and get, I don't know, Doug Drabeck, or somebody like that, who was not maybe a major star. They'd make a Dwight Evans or, whoever, and might only sell them in a part of the country where they played.
Right.
So a lot of the times, those are what's worth. Now, Michael Jordan's always going to be an outlier. He's always going to be kind of, worth a little more than everybody else. But for the most part, that's something you really want to look for with starting lineups. A lot of times, those were the really valuable ones.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida right now. On the line with us is Aaron Bearden. He is the owner of Instant Replay Sports Cards. Aaron, how do you feel about this era of one-on-ones? Is it cool to you, or is it a little out of control?
I think it's a bit of both. It is a neat idea to have something, I guess, that no one else has. I think it's changed how people collect. It used to be very communal. Like we were just talking, every kid wanted an 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey card. Now, kids, they see these breaks online. They hear these big, this card sold for $1 million. They want the card no one else has. And it's taken a little bit of that away. A hobby is obviously still going strong, so that's not the only thing sustaining it. But, sometimes it gets out of hand. It used to mean one of one. When they first started doing this back in the 90s, they would, make the regular card, and then they'd make one, they stamped one of one, and that was it. You didn't also have 30 different one-of-ones for the same player and the same product. Now you do. Now you open the box, and it's like, I got his one-of-one, but that's the green one-of-one.
Yeah.
There's also a blue, a red, a black, an orange, a gold. And then there's, say, within Topps, there might be a one-of-one refractor, then a one-of-one negative refractor, a one-of-one ray wave or lava wave or, So, again, it's the only one of that one, but he's got 30 other ones that are the only one of that one. Just within that same product. And next week, Topps puts out a new product. He's got 30 more one-of-ones in that. So, sometimes it seems like they'd be worth a little more than they are, and collectors assign value to ones based on maybe what product they came out of, even though you bought, say some Topps flagship, Topps Series 1, you paid $4 or $5 a pack for them. You pulled a one-of-one. Somebody else bought a, $5,000 box, pulled a one-of-one. They think that card will sell for more. Truth is, yours is just as rare as theirs. They're both one-of-ones.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm sitting here looking at a card that one of our guys, Caveman Rick, shared, which, you've met Caveman Rick. He shared in one of our groups. It's a Mike Trout one-of-one that's got his bat knob, and he's got this Super Bowl score, the Eagles 40, Chiefs 22, Fly, Eagles Fly. That's a one-of-one, and this is kind of a combination of my next question. What do you think sells better, or what is your preference in sports cards? Would it be autographs or game-used relics?
Autographs always seem to be worth a little more. Now, like that Trout card you mentioned, that's got a, something that they maybe can only get one of off the bat, the knob or the nameplate or something. But in general, your autographs are going to carry more value. It's kind of always been that way. They started doing jersey cards, memorabilia cards back in about 1996, 97. The early ones are worth a lot because they were very, very scarce. It was very hard to find. But it got to a point where, there are 4 or 5 jersey cards a box in some of those products back then. It's just, they've never been as appealing to people as the autograph. I think because people looked at, particularly the on-card autographs, as being something the player really touched and interacted with.
Yeah.
Whereas he gives them a jersey, and a lot of the jerseys, they're not game worn. There's something the player put on maybe for a photo shoot. There's some of the players that talked about, meeting with these representatives from the card company and having them put on 12 or 15 jerseys and just put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off, so they can claim it was player worn.
Wow.
But they really have no connection to it. It's nice sometimes on a card on the back, it will tell you what game it was used in. And some of the products, if you're lucky, you'll pull the piece of jersey that has the MLB authentication sticker on it.
Wow.
You can go on your computer and actually look up on MLB's website. It will tell you what game that came from.
Yeah, I think that's really cool about the baseball memorabilia and the MLB authentication process and how you can check stuff out there. Aaron, we're running up against the end of this segment here. Why don't you tell everybody what's going to be going on here at Instant Replay over the weekend?
Sure. So we've still got our Take Dad Out to the Ball Game giveaway going on. We're sending 2 people to see the Braves on Father's Day. You can win 2 free tickets. Come into the shop, check that out. I think you can also read up about it on our social media. Definitely we want to send 2 people out there to have a great time at the game. We've got Kids Club tonight at 6 o'clock. Bring those kids down, get in on some fun breaks, go home with a ton of cards. Breaks in the store tomorrow. We got Pokemon Play and Trade Night tomorrow. A lot of stuff going on all weekend long. Kind of feels like we're getting the summer kicked off here. So definitely come down and see us, and we're going to have a great time this weekend.
Well, Aaron, we sure do appreciate you being on with us. I will say that my dream of retiring with that box that's sitting in my drive inside of my garage, just the air, I just got deflated by that. So I appreciate you being honest with me and letting me know that it's not time to retire just yet.
Yeah, but you never know. Sometimes people find that amazing stuff in the garage, in the attic. So, hey, it could be. It could happen.
Could happen. Well, Aaron, it was so good to have you on the show today. So good to talk to you and finally get some of these questions answered. And you guys go check him out, Instant Replay Sports Cards. Aaron, have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. You guys take care. Everybody out there, be good, be safe.
Yes, sir. And when we come back, we will be talking more about the Women's College World Series, the Men's College World Series, and then a little NFL news. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN, Northwest Florida. Come back.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
Now is the time for Brave Country to cheer a little louder as the 2025 Atlanta Braves start chopping their way back.
Swung on, driven to left center field and deep. That baby's out of here. Austin Riley.
Tonight,
The Braves head west for the weekend as Sean Murphy and company roll into Oracle Park to take on the San Francisco Giants.
Braves heading to the West Coast to take on the Giants. Pre-game 8 o'clock, first pitch 9:15. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus studios, it's the Inside Drive. This is where heroes are created, legends are born, and dynasties forged. The Sports Talk Monster, ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to Ryan Mulvey and the Inside Drive.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive with Paul Wilson today on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget, call, text, comment, 850-215-6290. We're so glad that you're here with us, listening wherever you are listening from. We appreciate it. Just want to jump into a little bit of women's college softball last night. Watched a little bit of that. Pretty awesome to see the Texas Longhorns versus the Texas Tech Lady Raiders. Just wanting to see how it's going to end up. I know that there was some controversy in the first game with an illegal tag or she was obstructing the base, and a lot of people online was thinking that, bad call. But anyway, they ended up working through that, and Texas went 1-0. And then last night, Texas Tech, boy, that was pretty exciting. I don't know if you got to see that one or not.
I turned that on when about halftime or right before halftime, I think, of the NBA Finals game. I put it on the other TV and was trying to keep up with it the best that I could.
Yeah, so it was really cool because, in softball, when you look at it, you really don't. You're not going to see, I say you're not going to see, you usually don't see a lot of runs scored. So if you get a run or 2 runs or whatever, it really, really, really gets tight. And you can tell by the way the crowds are that the air in the room, so to speak, was just being sucked out, and it was getting tight. Every player was starting to feel the pressure. You're getting in that 6th inning, 7th inning right there. And, having the bases loaded, and then she hits the Texas girl, she hits her, and they go up 1-0. And then the next play, no joke, they had just talked about how awesome how awesome the Texas catcher is.
Yeah.
And she just let one get by her, and so you had a pass ball. So Texas Tech goes up 2-0 in the 6th, and everybody's thinking, this is it, because nobody can, nobody's really scored a bunch of runs off Nige, and so it just happened, and then just the way it happened, and then the top of the 7th inning, Texas leads off with a home run, and you're like, what's going to happen? And you could just start feel. But I do want to say, man, I believe that college softball has taken another step as far as, I was looking at the crowd last night, and just that venue. Right there in Oklahoma State or Oklahoma City. Yeah. It was just packed out, standing room only. The fans are going crazy. Like, personally, my mom and dad, they both played, slow pitch softball when I was a kid and all, but they love it. When they come to visit, they're watching it, they're turning it on. And I didn't really love it at the beginning, just to be fair and honest. But man, just the excitement and how they really try to play the game the right way, and it's really cool to watch. What do you think about that? Do you like it?
I love college softball. Over the last, I'll say a decade, but really since I've been here over the last 6 years, that this sport has grown on me. You mentioned the atmosphere there at Oklahoma City, and it's wild. That's weekend, that's game in and game out, that passion, that atmosphere, and then the game is played at a quicker pace, and it's just, it's a heck of a sport. Love watching it at the high school level. We've been blessed to have some great athletes at this level here with Bree Clark and Kaylee Goodpaster, and the list goes on much deeper than that, but those are your two standouts, and Kaylee Goodpaster is going to be playing over there at Florida State, not next year, but the next year, because she's already committed.
That's great.
But yeah, I love the sport of softball, and I love the girls do play it the right way, and it's just the pace of it for me alone, and those girls are humming it, they're throwing that ball a lot harder than what it looks. It's a fun sport, man. I think each and every year, I would say that might watch more in totality of the college softball tournament than what I do of the baseball tournament. Because, guys, there's a reason why baseball, and college baseball has the pitch clock and everything, but those games lasting like 4 and 5 hours is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I like it because, and I get this part, some people may not like, but I kind of like it, is that you're going to see their ace every night. Like, you're not getting anybody but our number one pretty much every time. I mean, if you get 2 pitchers that are great, you're really lucky. Not that everyone isn't great, but I'm just saying, like, she's pitched for the Texas Tech, she's pitched every game. Yeah. The whole time, and they're playing tonight, and she's pitching tonight. I mean, that's just how it works.
It's a like and a dislike thing for me, just because of being used to baseball and the stats. And all right, you're going to face their best pitcher in this game, and then you're going to get their a step down, and then it's can they survive with this guy, and then you get back to game 3. I like that element of strategy, and I feel like softball is on its way where they are starting to get like that 1 and 2 pitcher, and throughout the season you'll see that. But when you're playing for all the marbles, your best player should be out there. When you're Texas Tech and you lured Nyjah away from Stanford, who took that team to the Women's College World Series, and you spend $1 million on NIL saying, like, you are going to be the horse that we ride to the national championship, and all of the players that Coach brought with him from where he was prior to that, I think it's interesting. But yes, I'm right there with you that it does make softball interesting, the fact that you're going up against their best in the biggest of games night after night.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me, because even like just thinking about doing, and we had Ethan Hessen here on Monday, and he was talking about how the different rotation and the different way of bringing their arm, they're not, susceptible to injury. But it's just, you still get fatigued. You still get tired. And the stamina that she has, and being able to pitch night after night, day after day, and stay throwing as hard as she's throwing, just it's phenomenal to watch. And in a part of me, I'm an SEC guy, so obviously, and I know you can't stand Texas, but you do want to see the underdog do well. Yes, if she's an underdog, because she's really fantastic. She's been fantastic all year. You see what I'm saying? So
100%.
So I'm pulling for Texas because of SEC, but it wouldn't hurt me or offend me if Texas Tech were to bring it home.
Well, at the end of the day, both of these teams are hailing from the Lone Star State, so there is that. And yes, just because Texas Tech has Nyjah, I still think that they're an underdog because of with the Longhorns. You're talking about appearances in 3 of the last 4 World Series, and I don't think Texas has ever won one before. Neither one of these teams has ever won one before. So this is huge for both of them. Texas obviously has the experience, and huge for Texas Tech last night to get this to game 3 when the writing was kind of against the wall with such a low-scoring game for much of the night. And then they almost squandered it away in the 4th. I mean, the score, or in the 7th, rather, because the score ended up being 4-3. So, this game tonight is going to be exciting, and it's not. Well, you do have the Stanley Cup Finals on, so there's going to be that is competing against. And then for Braves fans, if they want to bruise their eyes a little bit more at 9:15 tonight, then there's that. But hopefully the game will be ending somewhere around there. I mean, the daggum softball game took longer than the basketball game last night, and the softball game started before the basketball game did.
And it was intense. I mean, the mound visits, the in betweens was seeming like a little bit longer than normal, but I mean, it's worth it. I mean, shoot, they're playing for all the marbles tonight, so that's going to be exciting. I'm sure that their ratings will go up tonight. I believe that they'll do that.
They go up year in and year out. I mean, it's just like the parallel is in the college basketball tournament, where you're starting to see the explosion of women's college basketball, and they continuously creep up on the numbers of what the men's college tournament is doing.
Yeah, and speaking of the men's college tournament, they're starting today. I think they've already started the first game, Arizona versus North Carolina. They're already in.
North Carolina scored 5 runs before they even recorded an out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that kind of messes us up because I was going to do a quick
Well, no,
pick
that's fine.
real quick, so we'll leave that one off. So
No,
I
'cause
want
it's
you
still best of three. It's still best of three. And
Okay,
North
so-
Carolina was my pick going into it. So.
Okay, so you got North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm going with North Carolina. What about Miami and Louisville?
That one I went with Miami in.
Yep, me too. I'm going Miami there. Oregon State and Florida State.
I hate this one. I hate this because I really want to see Florida State win
Yeah.
the whole thing. But I think Oregon State's going to be too strong in Corvallis. Give me the Beavers.
Yeah, I'm going Florida State on that one. I think
Nice.
that's going to happen. Coastal Carolina and Auburn.
This one's tough. I'm going to go with the pitching of the Chanticleers here. Give me Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, I'm going to go against my heart and pick Auburn. Won't
Nice.
hardly
Yeah.
happen much, but I will do it this time. Murray State and Duke.
I was leaning Duke heavily, and then you need an upset pick in the Super Regionals, right? So I'm going to go with the Racers of Murray State.
Yeah, I'm going with the Racers of Murray State, all because I lived in Kentucky for a little
There you
while.
go.
Tennessee versus Arkansas.
Toughest Super Regional of
Has
them
to
all.
be.
I would say I think maybe you can make the argument for Miami Louisville or the fact for Murray State that it's a little tougher there just because of who they are going up against Duke. But give me Arkansas. They're my favorite to win the whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah. I'm going Tennessee just because I think that they have the pedigree and the experience. I think that's going to pull them through. West Virginia and LSU.
I got to go with the Tigers of LSU.
Yeah, I don't love going with them, but I'm thinking they're going to win too. I think West Virginia's luck has just run out. UTSA and UCLA.
This one's tough. I already picked my underdog to move on. I would love to see the Roadrunners advance here, but I'm going to go with UCLA.
Yeah, see, I'm opposite on that one.
Yeah.
I think the band is going to keep playing. I think
go.
the UTSA is going to make a run. I don't believe that they're going to be done with just this series either. I think they're going to make some noise. I think they're deep. I think they have the passion, and I think they're going to play.
I wish that we could have seen LSU Shreveport in this tournament. After they finish up, they should have gotten
They should have got an
spot.
automatic bid.
Yeah,
That would have
we've got to
been
figure
fun.
something out like that where if you lose less than 2 games and win the championship at the NAIA level, like there,
You get an opportunity.
You get an
throw them in there.
opportunity.
They should do
Come
that
on.
with all the JUCO, NAIA, Division II, Division III. They should throw that in there.
If you're LSU Shreveport, would you want that though? Because you would have an opportunity to get a black eye on that beautiful goose egg.
That is true. Yeah. Well, they're definitely going to make history because they're not going to do what
Yeah.
Paul and David are saying at all, for sure. Just want to make one quick announcement before we go. Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers. Going to play that 1 year and to see what happens. I'm not sure if that's going to work out for him, but I like it. I think it brings excitement to the Steelers and the Steeler fan. They got DJ Metcalf.
Yeah, they got DK, but they let go of
George Pickens. Yeah, Pickens is gone. So I think that's going to be good. Also wanted to mention Cooper Moss won 4A Player of the Year. So that was pretty awesome. Cooper done a great job this year. I think he was on with Coach Hale yesterday, and he had that. And I believe that's it. But also, one more thing. Marab and Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Oh, yeah.
I think round 2, I think Marab gets him again. So we'll see. But thank you for listening to The Inside Drive. I've been your host today, Paul Wilson, and you've been listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll see you on Monday.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Hi, this is Ryan Mulvey, and thank you for nominating the Inside Drive on the 2025 Best